question connected to what you made in the class. You mentioned that you gave the story of Prabhupada the pastor. That devotees asked Prabhupada what they should do if there was a third world war, or they should chant Hare Krishna. And you also made the point that when the devotee is absorbed, is not affected by the external, so it makes no difference to it. I was wondering where we draw the line. Is there a balance between using one's intelligence when one faces difficult externals, or do we just depend on Krishna wholeheartedly? Because we know there's also instances of people who went to holy rivers and saying just depend on Krishna and drink it. Someone was drinking and get sick, and someone else to survive. So what is the difference then? When is a devotee supposed to use his intelligence? And when is he just saying I depend on Krishna and I just will do whatever my intelligence is going to remain on such a great idea?
Actually, that's a very good question. Where should the line be drawn? There's actually a very easy way to draw the line. And it is dependent on your realization, our individual level of realization. For example, we can't, in Bharat Maharaj's situation, we can't do what he did because we don't have his level of realization. Just to help you understand, one time in Mayapur, some sannyasis mentioned to Prabhupada that there are ghosts, they've seen ghosts. So Prabhupada explained that there's something called a Brahma Rakshasa ghost. He's the most fearful ghost. Basically, it's a Brahmana who has become a ghost. So it's very powerful. So Prabhupada gave a description of how to recognize a Brahma Rakshasa. He said, but if you see it, you should run away. He didn't say, oh, you're transcendental. Mam chayo vyabhicharena, you're sagunan samatiti. He said, run away. So this is I'm corroborating your point, that there are situations in which you cannot pretend to be transcendental if you're not. So that means the criteria is dependent on your level of realization. For example, there are aspects devotees are able to transcend. For example, the temple is austere to live in the summer, in the winter. But devotees have a certain level of realization where they're not disturbed by it. It is genuine. They're not pretending. Because if they were pretending, they wouldn't be chanting Hare Krishna, but they do. So we do have some level of realization. But we should not pretend to have a higher one. Act on the level we are. That's actually a big topic in the Bhagavad Gita, to act on the level you are. So that's called Varnashram. And even according to devotional life, there's Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. Each has to act on the level he is. And different rules apply according to the level you are in. So it's very important to know your level. That's the answer. So for a devotee who's on a transcendental platform, nothing will affect him. Nothing. And Prabhupada said whatever affects him is not the material situation, it's Krishna wants that to happen. I'll give an example of Srila Prabhupada. He became old, but it's not the material energy making him old. Krishna, his Lord, his worshipable Lord, wants him to be old. But he is Krishna conscious whether in an old body, a sick body, or in a healthy body. Now we can't be. So the injunction for us is, while you're still healthy and young, you should do Krishna conscious. Because when you're old, you may not be able to do it. And that's the prayer of King Kulashekar. That my Lord, while I'm still young, while I'm still healthy, please let me die now. Otherwise, I will be choked up at the time of death. Is that okay? Any other question? Can you pass the mic over there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for your inspiring class. My question is, you quoted the verse, Suri Suri Purana Manjara Purana, Digare Bhakti verse. The meaning is, that's what you have given, if you do not follow the rules and regulations, you will get disturbance. So, if you take the case of gopis, they did not follow any rules and regulations, and did not create any disturbance for their devotional service or anything. But of course, we know they are very exalted from the spiritual and other planetary systems. My question is, it's very difficult for people like us to follow all the rules and regulations in the scriptures because of the Kali Yuga. So, by just following the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, chant minimum 16 rounds, do the 4 regulative principles, and read my books. So with this thing, is it possible for us to attain the love of Godhead? By not following much rules and regulations, it is very difficult for this continuous. That's my question.
Thank you. First of all, I hope there was no misunderstanding. I did not indicate that all the rules and regulations have to be followed. The point was that the dacoits were following the rule and regulation of offering an animal to Kali. And they thought man animal, Purusha Pashu. So that was, because they're doing that rule and regulation. In the case of the gopis, and I did say this in class, but I'll emphasize it one more. If you fulfill the purpose behind the rules and regulations, you don't separately need to follow any rule or regulation. The purpose behind all rules and regulations is explained in the Padma Purana, is to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. Right. So that's the purpose of all the rules. They're servants of this one rule and regulation. One. All the others are servants of that. Every other rule and regulation. So if you fulfill that purpose, no other rule and regulation you have to observe. If you don't do that, all your rules and regulations will not help you. So the gopis were already in the perfectional stage. So the question of rules and regulations doesn't arise. In our case, the purpose behind chanting Hare Krishna and following the 4 regular principles is that you become Krishna conscious by doing that. So the devotee is well advised to remember the purpose. If he says, well, I'm following all the rules and regulations, but he somehow or other misses the purpose. In other words, by his mind he's thinking of sense gratification. Then he's doing niyamagraha. He's defeating the purpose. By your mind think of Krishna. Manmana bhava mad bhakta. The purpose behind these rules is you can always think of Krishna. So that's we should bear in mind. Does that answer your question? Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki